Good evening, Westies. We're here for another session of Politics in the Car, and tonight I'm going to be talking about a controversial subject, the Ravenhall Tip. Now, before we start, I just want to make my stance known to everybody because it's being misinterpreted. I do not support the expansion of the tip. I don't support the tip even being there. And yes, I agree, we should not be the dumping ground for Melbourne. But sadly, it used to be a quarry. Quarries become tips, and that was before I was even around, probably before I was born. I'm not sure about the history about the tip and the quarry. Poor planning from Brimbank Council put houses right up to the boundary of the tip, which I don't know why any government would do that. It's created a massive issue now, health issues, and it's just ridiculous. I do want to disclose that I used to be a financial member of the Stop the Tip campaign. I'm not anymore, so I don't know if anyone sees that as a conflict of interest. And before we start, just a quick history lesson. So developers purchased the land around the tip. Were under the impression that their land values would be significantly reduced due to the tip being there. So they created the civic group, which then ran the Stop the Tip campaign, which originally focused on Melton Council. Melton Council was like, no, we're not wasting money fighting an organisation, a company. If the developers want to, fight that in court, that's up to the developer. They weren't successful there. They've come across the Brimbank Council elections run around then. They ran a candidate. The candidates agreed with them. They've got in, and now Brimbank Council is funding these legal challenges. Now, the problem is that there are a heap of rules and regulations around business, and you can't just sit there and take people to court because you don't agree with anything. And a lot of the submissions that went in against the expansion were around property price. Now, governments have a duty of care to the people, not real estate. So it makes it challenging. Richard Wynne, when he, with the expansion, he reduced how much they were allowed to expand, and only allowed them expand to the west, which is away from properties, I believe. But I really want to talk about solutions, because we're seeing a lot of politicians, Greens, Liberal, and that they're all coming to these meetings. Oh, Labor doesn't care about the West. They're in government, like they're literally elected. They're in Parliament. There's nothing stopping them from putting in policies or initiatives to stop it, but they're not. So, there's just political games. It's ridiculous, and we really need some leadership on this, and we really need the people to stand together. So, and look, this idea has got nothing to do with me. Like, I actually heard this from the residents that attended these rallies. So the residents that attend the Stop the Tip rallies are actually quite onto it. They know, they've researched it, and they know that this topic or this issue isn't just in Australia. It's actually around the world. And waste management in Australia is becoming a national issue, and it really needs to become a federal government initiative to deal with how we handle our waste. First, we need to stop generating as much as we do, and we also need a measure on what's happening and where it's going and the environmental impacts, and then actual policy that will reduce that. But my idea, the idea I heard from the Stop the Tips residents, is around waste to energy. Now, it's a large parcel of land out there, and everyone's complaining about the pollution and the smell, and really investing in a I suppose a tip like that, the size of that tip, which is Melbourne's largest, got a continuous flow of rubbish coming into it, would generate a lot of electricity for the locals of the West, reduce power prices, so that power will be fed into the grid, and also provide us an opportunity to tackle waste in the country. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, this is, environmentally, this, that, da, da, da. But we're actually seeing places like Singapore, China, Europe, they've got this measure in place. So this issue isn't unique to us. They also have this problem. And there was a thing on Facebook that Singapore's creating islands out of all the ash and the silt that's created from burning the rubbish. So that's a really good idea, and I really want to focus on that, because that would reduce the smell, reduce the size of the tip. There's all kind of measures in place that filters the smoke that won't go over residencies, create more jobs, and that's a big thing. Skilled jobs, skilled labour. That's something we need to do in the West. We need to get food on your table. That's a great alternative. While we're all fighting, putting people offside, it's not going to work. It's not going to help us. We need to work together. The other idea, right, which is never going to happen, is if the federal government actually stood in, purchased that site off that company, and then gave it back to council, and council could rezone it as residential. But it's Australian politics. That's not going to happen. So I really think we need to focus on how to make this issue, something that can benefit all of us. Because at the moment, everyone's fighting. It's not going to go anywhere. We're going to be here 10 years later millions and millions and millions of dollars down the drain. Disability services cut, home care cut, child and health cut, and Brimbank's already got a growing health and well-being issue. We rank as one of the lowest, so we have a lot of social issues that we need to be focusing on, that those millions of dollars they're about to waste on court cases that we're not going to win should be going to. So let's work together. Let's come up with some real ideas and strategies on how we make the community a better place for you and me and our children. Have a good night, everyone, and let me know what you think. Take care.